The Rights of Non-Muslims in the Islamic World Part 3. For their right to justice. Islam is the religion of justice. Allah Almighty has demanded we use a just measure in all affairs, so everyone acts equitably, is cautious to not fall into oppressive ways. Allah Almighty has said. And the heaven He raised and imposed the balance, that you not transgress within the balance, and establish weight in justice and do not make deficient the balance. And the earth He laid out for the creatures. Or Ar-Rahman 7-10. He also said, we have already sent our messengers with clear evidences and sent down with them the scripture and the balance that the people may maintain their affairs in justice. And we sent down iron, wherein is great military might and benefits for the people, and so that Allah may make evident those who support Him and His messengers unseen. Indeed, Allah is powerful and exalted in might. Al-Hadid 25. He has ordered the Muslims to act equitably in all matters, even if equity means a loss to themselves or to those closest to them, as is stated in this verse. O you who have believed, be persistently standing firm in justice, witnesses for Allah, even if it be against yourselves or parents and relatives. Whether one is rich or poor, Allah is more worthy of both, i.e., more knowledgeable of their best interests. Therefore, adhere to what He has enjoined upon you and testify honestly. So follow not personal inclination, lest you not be just. And if you distort your testimony, or refuse to give it, then indeed Allah is ever, of what you do, aware. And Nisa 135. And the Almighty has made governing with justice an obligation at all times, as He stated in the following verse. Indeed, Allah commands you to render trusts to whom they are due, and when you judge between people to judge with justice. Excellent is that which Allah instructs you. Indeed, Allah is ever hearing and seeing. And Nisa 58. Serving justice is such a strong obligation that it must occur, even if it is in favor of enemies and at the expense of one's own family and loved ones, for Allah Almighty has said, O you who have believed, be persistently standing firm for Allah, witnesses in justice, and do not let the hatred of a people prevent you from being just. Be just, that is nearer to righteousness. And fear Allah, indeed, Allah is fully aware of what you do. Al-Ma'idah 8. Justice to non-Muslims is broad. Just as Islam gives them the right to go before their own courts, it also guarantees them equality in seeking justice with Muslims, if they choose to take their case before an Islamic court. Allah has said, they are avid listeners to falsehood, devourers of what is unlawful. So if they come to you, O Muhammad, judge between them or turn away from them. And if you turn away from them, never will they harm you at all. And if you judge between them with justice. Indeed, Allah loves those who act justly. Al-Ma'idah 48. If a Muslim were to steal from a dhimmi, he would have his hand cut off, just as if a dhimmi had stolen from him. In the same manner, a Muslim will receive a sentence for defamation if he slanders a man or woman of the people of the covenant. Rights of the people of the covenant in the Muslim state. pp. 19-20. History has recorded shining examples of the justice with which Muslims treated non-Muslims, and following are some of the more famous examples. There was a man from the Ansar named Tamir ibn Ubayrik, who was a tribesman from the clan of Banu Dawah ibn al-Harith. He stole a suit of mail from a neighbor of his named Qadr ibn Nu'man. The suit of mail had been in a sack in which there was some flour. Some of the flour leaked out of the sack through a hole, leaving a trail up to his home. Then Tamir hid the suit of mail in the house of a Jewish man named Zayd ibn as-Samin. When people searched for the stolen suit of mail, they went to the home of Tamir and they did not find it there. He swore to them that he had not taken it, and he knew nothing about it. The owners swore that they had recognized him breaking into their home at night, and that they had followed the trail of flour that had led them to his house. When he swore to them that it was not he who had taken it, they left him, and looked for more clues until they found flour leading to the home of the Jewish man, and arrested him. He told them that Tamir ibn Ubayrik had left the suit of mail with him, and some Jewish people corroborated his statement. Bani Dawah, the clan of Tamir, agreed to send a few of their own people to the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah upon him, to tell him their story and ask him to defend their clansman. They told him, if you do not defend him, Allah's clansman will lose his reputation and be punished severely, and the Jew will go free. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah upon him, believed them, and was about to punish the Jewish man, when Allah Almighty revealed the following verses to vindicate the Jew and excoriate those who had unlawfully accused him. Al-Wahidi, History of the Revelation, 210-211. These verses have been recited in worship countless times, and will continue to be recited for all time, so that justice will remain the path for Muslims, and they will follow it for all people, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. The Almighty said, Indeed, we have revealed to you, O Muhammad, the book in truth so you may judge between the people by that which Allah has shown you. And do not be for the deceitful an advocate. And seek forgiveness of Allah. Indeed, Allah is ever forgiving and merciful. And do not argue on behalf of those who deceive themselves. Indeed, Allah loves not one who is a habitually sinful deceiver. They conceal their evil intentions and deeds from the people, but they cannot conceal them from Allah. And He is with them, in His knowledge, when they spend the night in such as He does not accept of speech. And ever is Allah, of what they do, encompassing. Here you are, those who argue on their behalf in this worldly life, but who will argue with Allah for them on the day of resurrection, or who will, then, be their representative. An-Nisa 105-109. The story of the Copt and Amr ibn al-Ash, may Allah be pleased with him, has been related above. Refer to pp. 13-14. In brief, the events were as follows. When Amr was the governor of Egypt, one of his sons beat a Copt with a whip, saying, I am the son of a nobleman. The Copt travelled to Al-Madinah to lodge a complaint with the commander of the faithful, Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. So the Caliph summoned Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, and his son, and gave the whip to the Copt, telling him to beat the son of a nobleman. After the Copt did so, Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, told him to beat him over his head, explaining to him that he had suffered injustice because of the leadership. When the Copt refused, saying that he had already punished the person who had beaten him, the Caliph turned to Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, and scolded him, telling him that he had no right to teach people who were free as if they were slaves. Another story tells of a dispute between Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, when he was the Caliph, and a Jewish man, who went to the judge Shuraih ibn al-Harith al-Kindi. Shuraih tells the details of the event. When Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, set out to do battle against Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him, he found that he was missing a suit of mail. So he went back to Al-Kufa and found it in the hands of a Jewish man who was selling it in the market. He said, O Jew, that suit of mail is mine, I did not give it away or sell it. The Jew said, it is mine, it is in my possession. Ali said, we will have the judge rule on this for us. Shuraih said, so they came to me, and Ali sat next to me, and said, that suit of mail is mine, I did not give it away or sell it. The Jew sat in front of me, and said, that is my suit of mail. It is in my possession. I asked, Commander of the Faithful, do you have any proof? Yes, I have 2 witnesses, my son Al-Hassan and Kanbar Khan. Testify that it is my suit of mail. I said, Commander of the Faithful, the testimony of a son in his father's favor is not admissible in court. Ali exclaimed, Glory be to Allah. You cannot accept the testimony of a man who has been promised paradise? I heard the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah upon him, saying that Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein are the princes of all the youths in paradise. Sunan at-Tirmidhi, v.5, p.656. The Jewish man said, the Commander of the Faithful takes me before his own judge, and the judge rules in my favor against him. I bear witness that there is no deity but Allah, and that Muhammad is his servant and messenger, and that the suit of armor is yours, Commander of the Faithful. You dropped it at night and I found it. History of the Judges, v.2, p.200. Another story is told by the historian Ibn al-Uthayr, History of the Atabegs, p.76, about the commander Imad ad-Din Zangi. He entered the town of Jazirat ibn Umar during the winter. He stayed at the fortress, while the army camped in tents. One of his more prominent officers was his ad-Din Abu Bakr ad-Dabisi, whose opinion he valued. This officer commandeered the home of a Jewish man for his own lodging. The Jewish man sought out Imad ad-Din, and called out to him while he went riding by. Imad ad-Din asked him what the matter was, and listened to the story while ad-Dabisi stood next to him. When Imad had heard the whole story, he said nothing, but gazed wrathfully at ad-Dabisi, who backed away, returned to town, and ordered his tents to be set up outside of town. Even though the ground was full of mud from the rain and the army passing over it, it was done in justice to the Jewish man whose home had been wrongfully commandeered. The most amazing story of the justice of Muslims towards non-Muslims is about the military leader Qutayba ibn Muslim al-Bahili, may Allah have mercy on him, the conqueror of Transoxania and China. When he captured the city of Samarkand, he did not offer its people the choice of becoming Muslim, making a covenant, or fighting. 20 years after the conquest, Umar ibn Abdulaziz, may Allah be pleased with him, became Khalifa, and the people of Samarkand heard about his scrupulous sense of justice. So they sent a delegation of people to him, and the delegation lodged a complaint against Qutayba, who had died. They said, Qutayba did not offer us the choices that the law of Islam requires. So Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, wrote to his governor over Samarkand and ordered him and the army to leave Samarkand, and to offer its people the 3 choices. When the Muslims left the city, most of its inhabitants were so amazed that they embraced Islam. At Tantawi, Stories from History, p.85. It is worth noting that the Muslim population was aware of the rights of the non-Muslim population, and if the ruler did not uphold them, the subjects would be the first to demand equity for them, and to have injustice halted. An example of this is when the Umayyad Caliph al-Walid ibn Yazid exiled the people of the Covenant from Cyprus and resettled them in Syria. The scholars of religion and law were furious with him, and considered his action to be oppressive and hostile. When his son Yazid became Khalifa, the scholars addressed him about repatriating the Cypriots, because they knew him to be a just man. And because of this event, he was considered to be one of the two most just Khalifas of the Umayyad dynasty, the other being Umar ibn Abdulaziz, may Allah be pleased with him. Future Bolton, p.214. Another stellar example of the justice of Muslims towards others is told in non-Muslims in Muslim society. The Abbasid governor of Lebanon, Salih ibn Ali ibn Abdullah ibn Abbas, at one point forced a village of people of the Covenant to leave their lands because some of them had refused to pay the land tax. This governor was one of the close relatives and favored courtiers of the Khalifa. The Imam al-Awza'i wrote him a long letter of protest. Some of it was as follows. How can you collectively punish people for the misdeeds of a few of them, going so far as to expel them from their homes? The law of the Almighty states, namely, that no bearer of burdens can bear the burden of another. An-Najm 38. It is the most compelling evidence to consider, and to follow, and the most compelling of the commandments of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah upon him, to preserve and follow, is when he said, if anyone oppresses a demi or burdens him with something too great for him, I will argue against him, the oppressor. As-Sunan al-Kubra lil-Bayhaqi, v9, p.20. They are not slaves, which would make it permissible move them from one country to another. They are free people of the Covenant. Non-Muslims in Islamic society, p.31. The justice of Islam towards non-Muslims in every time and place is unparalleled in other religions, nations, or governments. Scholars and statesmen from the world over have left record of their recognition of this fact in history books, so others can realize the truth. The famous British historian H.G. Wells wrote the following about the teachings of Islam. They established great traditions of just interaction. They inspire people with the spirit of generosity and tolerance, and are humanitarian and practical. They created a humane community in which it was rare to see cruelty and social injustice, unlike any community that came before it. As Sabai, M. Splendors of Our Civilization, p.146. Sir Thomas Amol discusses the strife between feuding Christian sects, who were always at each other's throats during the first centuries of Islamic rule. Islamic principles of tolerance forbade these actions, that always involved some oppression. Muslims were the opposite of others, and it appears that they spared no effort in treating all of their Christian subjects with justice and equity. An example was after the conquest of Ebook, when the Jacobites took advantage of the removal of the Byzantine authorities to dispossess the Orthodox Christians of their churches. The Muslims returned them to their rightful honours when the Orthodox Christians presented them with proof of ownership. Invitation to Islam, 87-88. The Sicilian Orientalist Amari wrote, at the time of the Muslim Arab rulers, the conquered inhabitants of the island, Sicily, were comfortable and contented, when compared to their Italian brothers, who were collapsing under the yoke of the Lenni Ornanis and the Franks. Islam, the perennial religion, p.290. Nadmi Luka wrote, no law can eradicate injustice and prejudice better than one that states, O you who have believed, be persistently standing firm for Allah, witnesses injustice, and do not let the hatred of a people prevent you from being just. Be just, that is nearer to righteousness. Elma '8. Only when a person holds himself to this standard, and settles for no other, and devotes himself to a religion with these lofty principles and rectitude, and accepts no other, only then can he claim to have honored himself. Muhammad, the Message and the Messenger, p.26. 5. Their right to the security of their lives, their property, and their honor. Islam protects basic human rights for all people. These rights include preservation of the life, person, property, and honor. Muslims and non-Muslims are equal in this right, whether they are citizens or visitors. These are sacred rights that are carefully guarded, and cannot be abrogated for any reason except by law. It is not permissible to kill a non-Muslim unless he is sentenced for murder or a capital crime, because Allah Almighty has said, say, come, I will recite what your Lord has prohibited to you. He commands that you not associate anything with him, and to parents, good treatment, and do not kill your children out of poverty, we will provide for you and them. And do not approach immoralities, what is apparent of them and what is concealed. And do not kill the soul which Allah has forbidden to be killed, except by legal right. This has He instructed you that you may use reason. Al-151. And He has said, because of that, we decreed upon the children of Israel that whoever kills a soul unless for a soul, i.e., in legal retribution for murder, or for corruption, done in the land, i.e., that requiring the death penalty, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. And whoever saves one or refrains from killing, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely. And our messengers had certainly come to them with clear proofs. Then indeed many of them, even after that, throughout the land, were transgressors, heedless of Allah's limits, negligent of their responsibilities. Our Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah upon him, said in his sermon on the day of Arafah, your blood, your property, and your honor are all sacred, as sacred as this holy day of yours, your city, and this sacred month. Sahih al-Bukhari, v.2, p.191. This sanctity is not for Muslims alone, because the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah upon him, also said, whoever kills a person with whom we have a treaty will not even come close enough to paradise to smell its scent, and its scent can be found at a distance of 40 years of travel. Sahih al-Bukhari, v.8, p.48. It is not allowed to harm a non-Muslim for no cause, in any manner, such as violating his honor, transgressing against his property, assaulting him, or killing him without legal right. It has been recorded in more than one source that one of the Muslims killed a man from the people of the covenant, and the case was brought before the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah upon him, who said, I am the one most obligated to fulfill his covenant, and ordered the murderer to be executed. Sunan ad-Dayuqtni, v.3, p. 135, hadith number 168. When Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, was the Khalifa, a man from the tribe of Bani Bakr ibn Wa'il killed a man from the people of the covenant in Al-Hira. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, ordered the murderer to be delivered to the guardians of the dead man so that he could be executed. And he was. Rights of the people of the covenant in the Islamic State p.18. A man who had killed a person from the people of the covenant was brought before the rightly guided Khalifa Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him. His guilt was proven, and the Khalifa ordered that the man be executed. The dead man he had forgiven him. The Khalifa questioned him, asking if he had been threatened or intimidated. He said, no, but killing him will not bring my brother back. Pay me a settlement as compensation, and I will be satisfied. The Khalifa responded, you know best. If we have made a covenant with someone, his blood is of the same value as ours, and his compensation is the same amount as ours. In another version of the same event, the Khalifa said, they have paid the jizya so that their lives and property are of the same value as ours. As Sunan al-Kubra, v.8, p.34.